Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility on this Wednesday. New review day, as always, here on the channel. Today, we're going to take a look at the brand new album. It seems like we were just talking a couple months ago about their last brand new album, but you know how it is with Hawkwind. They release stuff at a ridiculous pace. They're now, I think they've got like 35 studio albums over the course of their career. You know, granted, a lot of them are under like kind of different names and pseudonyms and all that sort of stuff. But man, a lot of studio albums. I think if you were to like add up all the Hawkwind studio albums and EPs and live albums and like all the different offshoot things, you probably well over 100 at this point for a band that's been around since like 1970 or so, right? It's crazy to think about it. So anyway, their brand new album, which is on Cherry Red Records, is called Stories from Time and Space. Like I said, this follows up The Future Never Waits, which came out last year, which I thought was pretty damn spectacular. I don't want to say return to form because, you know, Hawkwind has just constantly been churning out new product that just sounds like Hawkwind, right? Are any of them of the more recent albums going to be considered as, you know, some of the classics like their 70s material or early 80s material? You know, maybe not, but as very solid, enjoyable Hawkwind albums, sure. There's been a lot of them. I thought last year's was really, really good. So let's take a look at this brand new one. So first of all, don't really care too much for that cover, and I'll tell you why. We kind of showed this a little bit on the Professor's Picks last week. So you got that kind of mediocre album cover, and then look at that awesome back cover. That should have been the album cover, right? And then let's pop the disc out. Look at this. Great depiction of a spaceship, right? Sci-fi themes all around here. And then once we get into the booklet, we see even more cool stuff. I mean, look at some of this. That's a space rock album right there. You know, any of these should have and could have been the cover to this album instead of the clock. Look at this. Gorgeous. Look at that. So, who do we have in Hawkwind at this point in time on this album? Of course, we've got Dave Brock, right? Because you can't do Hawkwind without Dave Brock on vocals, guitars, keyboards, and synthesizers. You got Magnus Martin, vocals, guitar, keys, and synths. Thighpole Sandra on keyboards and synths. A lot of people playing synthesizers on this album. Doug McKinnon on bass. Richard Chadwick, drums, vocals, and percussion. And Mikhail Sosna on saxophone on one track. So, this particular album, I think it's like 59 minutes, so it's about an hour's worth of music here. You've got 13 songs on here, 13 tracks. It starts off with a kind of a cool track, but it's like kind of like doesn't sound like typical Hawkwind. It's called Our Lives Can't Last Forever. You know, how often do you hear piano on Hawkwind albums? Not all that much. So here you got this kind of lilting melodic piano thing going on, and then Dave Brock comes in singing. It's a kind of cool, drifty type of melodic track, more prog than actual space rock. Kind of haunting sounding, like a weird start to the album. And then the Starship, One Love, One Life. There we go. Now it's starting to sound like a Hawkwind album, right? Lots, as you can tell by all the people playing synths on this album, there's lots of that bleeping synth washes and blips and bleeps and all that kind of, you know, all the stuff that they do so well throughout the years. That's a cool track. What are we going to do while we're here? Also enjoyable. The Tracker, you know, for me, I always like to hear some of the big riffy, more rock-oriented Hawkwind stuff. Right, I love when they add the space rock into the big kind of like riffy type of material. You don't get a lot of that on this album. The Tracker, however, is one of them. It's just big, upbeat, like I said, big Dave Brock riffs and just more like of an insistent type of a track. Really like that one a lot. Eternal Light, there's a lot of, to me, on this album, which I think the last album did a little better. To me, there's a lot of these little instrumental kind of bridge pieces that kind of, to me, just meander and almost seem like filler and take up space on this album. I hate to say it because I like some of that stuff on Hawkwind albums, but there's a lot of it on this album. Eternal Light is kind of that for me. Till I Found You is pretty decent. Then you got Underwater City, which is actually pretty lovely, but again, like the first track, here you've got this wonderful acoustic guitar piece. And I'm like, this is really cool. It's really good and well done. It just doesn't, it sounds out of place here for some reason. But it's really nice. I can't really knock it. It just, I'm like, God, on a Hawkwind album? It's like, okay, whatever. The Night Sky, and this, like I said, there's the one track with a really cool sax solo, I think, which is kind of nice because, do we kind of miss, without Nick Turner around, right? Do we kind of miss that kind of crazy, jazzy, screaming sax at times, right? Yeah, that was always a nice little element of old Hawkwind stuff, right? Night in the Sky is pretty cool. Traveler of Time and Space, I think, is one of my favorite tracks on here. Listen to it closely. Kind of reminds me of David Bowie's Heroes a little bit. Pretty interesting song. I really dig it. Then you got, then things start to kind of meander a little bit. You got Regenerate, The Black Sea, and Frozen in Time, which are these just kind of like synth washy kind of tracks that don't really do much of anything. And I'm kind of like, all right, let's get to something that's kind of has a little purpose here. And with the last track, Stargazers, that is indeed it. And of course, Stargazers, no, not relating to the Rainbow song. Here's a very cool song co-written by basically the whole band. And it's got cool guitars, lots of synths, very cool dreamy vocals, very, very much in the typical space rock realm that we would expect from a band like Hawkwind. So for me, I mean, there's plenty of good material on here. There's also some stuff here that just really doesn't move me at all, and I'm wondering, like it's like they're pushing. Obviously, the album's like an hour long, and I'm kind of thinking, could this been a better 45-minute album? To me, I think so. I think there's just 13 tracks. I think 3 of these I could have easily jettisoned and makes it a much more tighter, enjoyable album. But it's still a fun album. It's still Hawkwind. And I kind of like the fact that they took some chances here and did some different things, right? Give us some different flavors. But overall, there is a little bit of filler. But what's really good is really good. I'm going to give this 3.5 out of 5 star. Not quite the near classic that the last album was, which I thought was really terrific and one of the best things they had done in years. This is not quite on that level, I don't think, but it's still very, very good. So Stories from Time and Space, the latest from Hawkwind here in 2024. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell to get alerted of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, get the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page. Thank you in advance for all your support there. And we'll see you soon here with more stuff. I'm Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.